Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to everyone joining us today. My name is Anastasia Buchok, and I work for the knowledge management component of the Global NIP Update project. Thank you for taking the time to attend this regional workshop on the Stockholm Convention Integrated Electronic Toolkit for National Implementation Plans organized by Green Growth Knowledge Partnership, GGKP, under the GEF-funded and UNEP-led Global NIP Update project, GEF ID 10785. National implementation plans, or NIPs shortly, are critical instruments for the parties to the Stockholm Convention to meet their obligations and manage the persistent organic pollutants in a strategic and coordinated and forward-looking way. And under this project, many of you are currently actively working on developing the POPs inventories, drafting your NIP chapters, updating your NIPs. So to support this work, we are encouraging the use of the Stockholm Convention Integrated Toolkit for the project, which was launched last year by the Secretariat of BRS Conventions. And while its use is not mandatory, strongly recommended, the toolkit offers the Harmonized, the tabular template that promotes consistency, comparability across the submissions. It also allows countries to store their NIPs online. Please note that the toolkit is administered by the BRS Secretariat, so all Stockholm Convention national focal points and official contact points have been provided with the credentials to access the interface of the toolkit and submit the NIPs. If you haven't received your credentials, please let us know. And we also have our colleagues from the BRS Secretariat to address these questions. Other stakeholders can still explore the public interface for learning and reference. Today's session focuses on the countries in Europe, Africa, and Asia. We are very pleased to welcome participants from other regions as well. Please note that we already hosted this session for the LAC region in July. In addition, we are planning a separate follow-up session focused on Article 15, national reporting, to help refresh and reinforce understanding of reporting requirements, which will be tomorrow on the October 2, and my GGKP colleague will share the registration link in the chat. A few housekeeping rules. This is an online session with a maximum duration of 1.5 hours. It's being recorded. Interpretation is available in English and in French and Russian. Please select your preferred language in the Zoom toolbar. In between the speakers and the interventions, please feel free to raise your hand and we will enable your microphone and your camera so that you can join the discussion. So we are very happy to have everyone on the panel today so that you can engage in a dialogue with the experts and representatives of the Secretariat and UNEP. Finally, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We'd love to hear who is with us, who joined today. And very pleased to welcome our colleagues from the BRS Secretariat today with us. We have Ms. Carla Valeklan, Program Management Officer, who is now serving as a focal point in the Secretariat supporting the NIPs. And we also have Ms. Claire Morel, Information Systems Officer at the BRS Secretariat, who is also the part of the team that hosts the toolkit. So let me hand over the floor to Carla for her opening remarks, and thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. For those who do not know me, as Anastasia just said, I work for the BRS Secretariat together with Claire, who is also here in the call, and we collaborate very closely with colleagues from UNEP, the two here in the call as well, and others in the background, on different aspects related to the implementation of the Stockholm Convention. Some of you have probably met me in the BRS meetings, and I have been working in Stockholm reporting in the past. Now I'm replacing Suman, who got a next phase in life as a retiree. So probably he's having fun, and we are having a different type of fun here today. Thank you for your time in coming here. And also thank you for the colleagues who are organizing these events. In my view, these are very nice opportunities for parties to exchange, to learn from us, who is presenting. Today here we have Mihaela and Claire. And tomorrow, Lina will be joining also the team. to explain also something about reporting, but also all of you who are busy people and trying to catch up with all these obligations under the conventions. So thank you very much for taking the time to attend this opportunity, and we all learn with each other. So from my side, I just want to say that in terms of the NEPs, this is one of the key obligations under the convention. And similar to report, my perspective about it is that normally you should do that for yourselves, because then you learn about how your countries are in terms of the implementation of the conventions, what the challenges are, and what can you improve, and what are the possibilities that you have at the moment, and what you should look for in the future to comply with this obligation and with the convention altogether. And since developing countries and countries with economies in transition have the support of the GEF, even more for those countries, use the opportunity to do as much as you can under these projects that you may have, because it's a great chance that many other conventions don't have, and several other obligations don't have the possibility to provide you with funding, support, and technical assistance in this way as you have for the NEPs. And finally, in terms of the NEP template, this is a template that we have been working on for a long time. I would call Michaela as one of the godmothers of this template. She worked hard to have this done together with us and other colleagues, and I'm a totally supporter of that initiative. We know that we can always improve it, and it would be great to learn from you what, when you use it, what we could improve in the long term to help you. This tool was made for you, to help you organize the data that you collect on the NEPs and to eventually submit the NEPs in a more structured way. And but again, the tool has some limitations, of course, and we'll count on you to help us improve it, telling us how it has helped you, how we can improve it to help you more. And I'll stop here and let my colleagues go on. So thank you very much, Anastasia, and have a good webinar.
Thank you so much, Carla. Really nice seeing you. And maybe just a short introduction from Claire, who currently works on the BRS Secretariat in the team of the Toolkit, so that our participants familiarize themselves with the team. If you could just introduce yourself shortly, and we'll hand over to Michaela.
Thank you, Anastasia, and hello, everybody. So as Anastasia said, I'm working for the BRS Secretariat as an information system officer. I'm working on all the tools the Secretariat has in its clearinghouse mechanism. So it includes this tool. So I'm here to provide more IT technical support. As Carla said, this tool has been developed for you, for helping you to develop your NEPs. So I'm glad to be here in this webinar to understand better how you use it and what feedback you may have.
Thank you very much, Claire, and really happy to see you with us. And with that, I'm very happy to introduce our speaker and expert, who, as Carla mentioned, one of the founders of this template, Michaela Claudien-Pon, the Program Management Officer at UNEP, Knowledge and Risk Unit, who will give us a deep introduction into the interface of the toolkit and how to use it. And after that, or maybe in between, we will pick up the questions. And if you would like to join the panel, please keep your hand raised. We will promote you to the panelists so you can directly ask the questions. If you feel shy, please leave your question as a text in the chat or in the Q&A mode, so we will address it in between. Thank you very much, and over to you, Michaela.
Thank you, Anastasia, and thanks to colleagues in BRS, both Carla and Claire. Carla, for your kind words. Yes, it was hard work put into this. You had things to do with it, because the initial idea was put forward between BRS and UNEP a long time before I joined the organization. But I think it is a great joint effort, and through my presentation today, I hope I can once again explain parties how this tool is useful for the national context when it comes to the NIP development. So let me try to share my screen, because the idea is not to have slides, but it's to go like through a live demonstration. So I will be logged into the toolkit, and I will show you in real time how this goes. So, okay, give me 1 second. So I will not be able to see any hand up or comments in the chat yet, but Anastasia will help me with that. So then we can address all your, all your questions to the extent possible, of course. So Anastasia, do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see a screen, Mihaela.
Okay. So maybe to explain, what you see here is basically the public interface. So it's the one that you need to log in with the password, an ID and a password that, as Anastasia said, were circulated to you by our colleagues in the BRS Secretariat some time ago. Of course, if you cannot find it, they can be recent, as mentioned. So I will start. So you see here, this is of course a testing page, but here you will see your login credentials. So there is here a little button, and you can create your country profile, and you have the sign out button as well. So this means I'm in the toolkit. And apart from this private interface, of course, the toolkit has the public interface, right? And the public interface gives access only to certain information, like, for example, the NIPs that will be transmitted by different countries as they are available now on the BRS webpage. And of course, access to some of the modules that I will explain now. So on the left side here of the screen, you have 4 tabs, which means there are 4 modules included in this toolkit. And I will explain a bit on each of them. So first is so-called NIP submission module, which basically is the template for of the NIP in an online version of it. And when I'm saying template, this is not a new template. It's the template that is recommended by the BRS guidance on NIP development. So it is nothing new. It's that recommended outline that is translated in this online format. And then basically, if I'm clicking on it, yes, I need to create one, but I will get there. So let me explain the 4 modules, and then I will go each and every, so for you to better understand. So this NIP submission module, as I said, is the NIP predefined format, where you have all the sections that should be in your NIP, and you have in different sections, you have predefined tables already. The only thing left for you to do is to collect your data and input the data into the different sections and templates that you have in there. So you don't need to think about what will be my structure, where do I find this, what information do I need to collect, because, for example, these predefined templates and or tables, how should I call it, they have in their headlines, they have all the data that is required is included there. So you can, by screening through this template, you will easily see the data needs that you need to focus on when you start your NIP update. So you will not need to focus which information goes there, what do I need to collect, how this needs to look like, and all these things that takes time, and in your busy schedule, it's like additional task, and you need to go through several guidance documents until you understand the whole thing. And same applies to your new colleagues, right? You may have new colleagues coming in that will need to work on this, and they need to easily identify all this without reading 20 guidance documents that are there. So this is the NIP module, and I will after I introduce all, then I will dive into this one a bit more for you to understand. Then we have POPs inventory module, which has two parts. So this is first part is a summary of the inventory guidance documents. So for example, if I'm clicking here, you will see that. What is happening? I don't know what is happening, but you should be able to see this. Okay, yes, okay, sorry. So, so basically what you did, of course, you always can come back and check the long version of this guidance document, and it's quite recommended to do that. But what you see here is like very, user-friendly type of summary of the guidance documents where you can find what is the key information that you need to focus when reading the guidance and all the elements from data needs, from where, for example, these POPs are present in former or current uses, so on and so forth. What is the objective of the inventory, so what you should focus on, and data to be collected, and how do you estimate your POPs in electric and electronics, for example. So POP EBD in electric and electronics, this is just an example, right? So all is summarized here. And that is, I believe, it's a lifesaver, in these times that you need to do with many tasks and you don't have time to go through all these guidance documents and, extract the key information and elements that you need to focus on. And the second part, basically part B, it gives you online format to store your POPs inventory data. And why I'm saying this? We have seen, UNEP is supporting many countries with their NIP updates, and through this work, we have seen that one of the most challenging experience that countries have is they don't have a database to store their inventory data. Usually there is someone that has an Excel or another type of file in their computer, and if that person leaves the ministry or the agency, the information gets lost, and next time when you start your NIP update, you start from scratch again. So we have created this format to help you store your POPs inventory data to use it next time. But this is not a simple, how should I say, inventory report format, right? Which you need to do after you conduct your inventories. It's also linked to the NIP. So it also indicates what inventory data is relevant and needs to go into the NIP chapters as well. So I think this is also crucial, because through inventory you get a lot of disaggregated data that then you need to aggregate, and you need to provide like national total amounts in the NIP. And this will guide you through this process. So you don't need to think which information goes where. This will guide you through. And at the same time will help you submit your data, to store your data. And the next time when you start this process, you can start from that data set and look what were the remaining gaps, and focus on only those data sets that will need update, not on everything if there is no need to. So that is with the POPs inventory module. And then we have queries module. So basically, this is a way on how you can search to the database that sits behind this toolkit, right? So now, the toolkit is not yet populated, but when this will get populated, right, by NIP submitted, by input of data in different NIP sections and templates, the database will get populated, right? And then you can query that data from the database using, two types of queries. So this is, for example, we call it predefined queries. So we have some defined queries here. So you can choose at what level you want to search for the data, global, regional, national level, for example, or you can choose different query, right? So you want to know if how many NIP transmissions in your region happen, right? And or also search by country. So you can run the report and then, yes, no results are found because there is nothing in the database yet. But when there will be information in the database, the report will show here, and you will see how many countries submitted their NIP in the Africa region. And then you have the kind of a free search type of query, right? So it's like you search in Google, for example. So you search for, let's say, one word or one set of keywords, and then you submit the query. And then you see, for example, here, I search for chemicals, and then whatever is in the database, I mean, in the NIPs in the database, in different sections, I see where this word is appearing, right? So I can search each and every by these words of group of words, right? So that is with the query module. And then we have the guidance module, which basically reconcile, all the guidance documents that we have under the Stockholm Convention in one place, right? So once you start this work on NIP development or update, you have everything in one place. You enter here, and then you can browse through all the guidance documents, like for the NIP development review, for the NIP implementation, for example, right? So you have socioeconomic inventories, alternatives, bad BEP, but then also for reporting. So you have the connection with the reporting here. So you have the user manual and so on and so forth. So that is with the main structure, if I could say so. So now I can go more in depth to explain this NIP submission module, which is the crucial one and the subject of maybe today's discussion. So now I'm in this interface of the NIP submission module, as you see. And then I will explain a bit of functionality, but then I will try to also enter in, create, how should I say, a working document that we can browse through it. So you see, so there is the option to create an online version of this. And then when I will click on this, this will be created. But I will do that in a second. But by then I want to explain a bit. There is also the Word version, the downloadable version of this structure that is now in online format. And why is that? Because, when you start the NIP related work, you will need to consult with many stakeholders at the country level. And it is not indicated that you give the access to this tool to all the stakeholders that are there. So someone needs to have the accountability for entering this toolkit and, input the information and all that. But at the same time, you need to have this, Word as an instrument to collect the data across stakeholders in your country. So then you see you have the different the versions in English, Chinese, Spanish, and French for now. If we'll get additional resources, we should look in having it in other union languages like Russian and Arabic. So that is the idea. But so far we have this for version of it. So that is one functionality, let's say. But then you see you have other functionalities that are appearing here. So for example, once you created a draft version of your NIP, you can see the level of completion. You will see here, the deadline that you need to submit. By which you need to submit it to the secretariat, and the day that they receive it, right? The country name. But you have all this functionality. You can export a document once submitted. You can also delete it, or while you are in the draft mode, you can continue editing it, right? So now I will try to demonstrate. So I'm creating a new blank submission. Okay. So I think maybe I enter this one. I continue to edit on. So when you click this, here it will appear a new line, basically. So I'm trying to continue editing this one because it was already created. So you see now I'm in the NIP submission module interface. So to see how it looks, what is the outline of this and how it looks inside. So you see on the left tab, I have this executive. So it starts, at most of the NIPS executive summary and the 3 chapters that are recommended by the guidance documents. And then if you click here, there is a little arrow. So this expands, right? So this expands into other subsections, right? And you can browse through it. So I'm taking, let's say, chapter 2, right? Which you all know that we have a country baseline, country profile, institutional policy and regulatory framework section, but then assessment of POPs, which means it's all the inventories, information on all POPs inventories that you generate in the country context will appear in here, you see? So this expands to additional sections. So then if we are talking still about functionalities, you see how it looks. So for example, you have, we call this placeholder for narrative, right? So you have these boxes where, you need to expand, expand on your NIP information. You see, I'm writing here, so then you can draft this. You can include your executive summary. You have all these functionalities here, how to, define your text, use a certain font, or, all these functionalities as you have it in Word documents, for example. And here at the bottom, you have the save button, right? So you see, you are notified when the information is saved. You have previous section button, next session button, for example. So if I'm clicking next session, yes. So I'm in the next session, section here, which is introduction, right? So you see, this has the same placeholder for narrative and so on. Now, let me show a bit on the inventory section part. So you see that for each POPs, basically we have these subsections across life cycle, right? So from production, import, export, use, and alternatives where is the case, for example, right? And then you see I'm in the POPs pesticide section. So it's one of the inventories that you need to do in the context of your NIP update. And then you have the same placeholder for narrative. So here you can describe, in my country, there is no current production on these pesticides, or there is still is, and you can give some details, but then you have also a table to organize your data as afterwards to be easily extracted either by you to be used in the national context or by other stakeholders like donors, like GEF. They want to see how many countries are producing these chemicals, right? Or by BRS Secretariat when they are preparing their reports for the COP or things like that, right? And then, so here you have, for example, you see the list of POPs pesticides, and then you have different options to mark your status. So in some cases, information, maybe you have used this, but the information is not available because you couldn't gather it, right? In some other cases, this might not be relevant. So my country never produced aldrin, for example, right? So I mark not relevant or maybe not relevant could be in the sense that you don't, this was, how should I say, prohibited for a long time and is not any more relevant, and then not applicable is when for example, this was never produced in your country, right? Or it can be, yes, I'm still producing this. This is just an example. It doesn't match the reality, but yes, I'm producing it, and then you mark here which year the production started, if you know about, or ended, and what is the estimated production at the unit measure. You always have the unit measure, and you can add any remarks in here, for example. But then you have this red button as well. So this red button is quite important because when we have created this template, we are supposed to make the connection with the Article 15 reporting. So for you to easily understand which information that you gather and include in your NEP links to the information in the Article 15 reporting. And that's why you will see this red button. If you click on it, you see this in here, it is written. This information is also requested in Part B, Section 6, Roman 6, Question 24 of the Article 15 reporting formats. So it gives you the exact indication to which section in that reporting format these links, which I think is really useful because once you include it here, you will be able to easily make the connection and reporting reported under Article 15 obligation. But you will see, so whenever there is an obligation coming from the convention, you will see in the title of the table, right? So this is information on production on pesticides, and then comma in accordance with this paragraph and this article of the convention, meaning that this is an obligation coming from the convention, right? But also, I think we have, I'm trying to find another, yes. So this is the example that I was looking for. There are other tables included that basically is not an obligation of the convention, but in case you generate that information, you will have a place to add it, because we have learned from countries that, you know, most of the time they are generating more information than mandatory requested by the convention because they are following all the guidance documents, and sometimes in the guidance documents, they indicate that you can also produce additional information. Therefore, we have created templates for adding it as well. So you see, here is written, this is an optional information. So you can add it or not, depending if it is available or not, or in fact, if you want to add it or not. But the idea is, if you produce it, if you generate that data, it will be a pity not to reflect it in your NEP, because I think it may help inform, you know, the world, what is happening in your country, and for example, what type of alternatives have you used, and that will be really useful for other countries that are aspiring to get there, right? To switch to alternatives and things like that. So that is with the red button, and the difference between, you know, when there is a convention obligation or when there is additional information that you are encouraged to provide. Okay, and then let me see what I can. So you basically have the same structure for all POPs categories in here. You say following the same life cycle steps from you know, production to import, export, use, and so on and so forth. And let me try to see if I can find an example. Yes, I wanted to find another example. So you know that besides the Article 15 reporting obligation, you also have other reporting obligation coming from the Secretariat. For example, on DDT, on POP-PBDE, you know, for example, on POP PBDEs, you are invited to provide information on, evaluation and review for the continuous need of this specific exemption that are in there. So you see here, by clicking the same button, red button, you will find the connection with that reporting format. Of course, you may say this may change over time. That is true. But this format is built in such a way that it can be easily updated, because we know under the convention there is this dynamic environment and there are new chemicals added. Maybe reporting formats are updated. I mean, for sure they are updated periodically. So this needs to reflect back in our template here. So to keep it up to date. Okay, so let me show a bit also on chapter 3, which basically is the one that where you need to add your action plans, right? So you need to provide action plans for a different POPs group. So let me show you a bit how this looks like. So you see, so for example, I'm taking the pesticide one, the example on pesticides. So here there is the same placeholder where you can include your narrative, right? So I don't know, following our inventories and stakeholder discussion, this we came up with this work plan, and the key focus will be on this and that. And then here you can add different objectives that you have under this work plan. I don't know, one objective is strengthen the legislation as to make sure all the banned POPs pesticides are prohibited in my country, right? And what are the activities? Then you list, let's say I need to engage with relevant stakeholders, draft the legislation, promote it into the government, parliament, and so on. And then key indicators, performance indicator. How do I measure this? Is basically coming up with one framework law and two subsequent pieces of legislation or government decisions or things like that. And what is the time frame and who is in charge of the implementation. But not least, I think it's also important to mention the resource needs. And in here, I think it is important to make the distinction between, what comes from the national budget, but also what are those incremental needs that you may have. And why I'm saying this? Because I think that is really very relevant, for example, when you want to apply for a GEF project to support your NEP implementation. And having this budgeting around, I think it helps a lot. And also prioritizing also helps a lot, because it can be picked by external donors, bilateral donors, and it can help you do that and get the money and move on with the implementation phase. So that is in the 3rd chapter. Of course, you have also a section on where you can add attachments, you see. So, but there is a limited size for this one, but still you can add whatever you believe it's relevant to be attached to this one. So that is in a nutshell, how should I say, the NEP submission module. I will invite you to access the toolkit and browse through it and try to understand, the different sections and data needs and so on. And let me go back a bit to the POPs inventory module to explain a bit. So I already shown this part A with the guidance, summary of the guidance inventory, but let me share the part B. So for example, this is, as I said, is a draft inventory report format that you can use to store your POPs inventory data. This has also a downloadable version in Word, but only in English for now. But the same here, you have the same functionality. So for example, now we see I'm creating my blank report, right? So let's say I gather my report for POP EBD and I want to put it in this inventory reporting format. So if I'm going into it, you see it's the same approach that you use for the NEP submission module, but with chapters that are relevant for the POPs inventory format. And it's the same, you can browse through it. You see you have a placeholder for narrative. But what I wanted to, so there are different sections from objective and scope of our inventory, what methodology data you used, and how the data were gathered. And then you have a chapter where you include your final results. And this one is the one that is aligned, at least 4.2, it's aligned with chapter 2.3 of the NEP, right? Because it follows the assessment of different POPs, right? So yeah, here you can store all your inventory data, not maybe for one POP, but for all. And then this links to the chapter 2.3, which is on POPs inventories in the NEP. And then, but you have also an important chapter on what is the gap analysis. So what are the remaining gaps and the limitation that you have identified when completing your inventories. Why is this important? I think it's because next time when you start your inventories, you take it from here, right? So you don't need to remind yourself what happened. You can read this section and understand the remaining gaps and where you need to put your focus in this new update. Or if there is a new colleague, it will immediately understand by reading this chapter, right? And the next one, right, for future actions to be taken to complete the inventory, right? So is for the next update and how you plan for that. So that is basically the interface of this POP submission module. Okay, so I think I could stop here, Anastasia, and I could try to take, I mean, for sure I can take questions. I'm not sure if someone has the hand up.
Thank you very much, Mihaela. It's a good intro and a good start. We have actually a few questions, and also we have hands up, hands raised from our colleagues in Senegal. Mamadou, we will join you very quickly. Maybe we could start with one question from Bosnia and then we go to Senegal. So we have a question from Bosnia and Herzegovina. It would be very useful to have a demo version or at least an option to introduce data offline and then upload it once all the information is confirmed. And also the question again from Bosnia and Herzegovina. NEP experts are engaged to prepare the inventory and update the NEP. But at the same time, the NEP update also has to be approved by different governmental bodies. So speaking about the endorsement, if I understood correctly, all this data will be first entered into the proposed Word template, and then the NFP will need to go section by section and input it into the electronic portal, if I'm correct. So I think, Mihaela, that's a question around the access, as apparently some consultants still do not have the access to the toolkit. So it's probably a bit confusing on having the Word versions and then the next is endorsement. I'll stop here.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So yes, I understand that this is still a challenge with the Word version and then the online. I think, I mean, we are aware of this, and depending on the resources that we get, I think we can work around and find an option that once your offline version is completed, to be uploaded in the online format automatically. We didn't manage to do that when we built this, but I think there is still room for improvement to achieve that. Then when it comes to the, and maybe, I don't know, Claire, she's free to add into this, but I believe there might be IT options to do this. Okay, and then on the access of the different consultants, I believe this needs to be, I mean, there are two sets of password, just to be clear. There is one password that is assigned to the national focal point. So as for, in case of the reporting under Article 15, the issue is that the focal point is only responsible for inputting the data, but has no submission rights, while the official contact points, credentials are to allow the submission of, for example, in Article 15 reporting submission, or in this case in the NIP submission, when this will become a kind of regular approach that we will take under the conventions. For now, we are still testing. And then I believe it is within the responsibility of the national focal point that is somehow coordinating the work under the convention to assess to what extent the consultants, right, that support them in this work can have access to the toolkit or not, right? So this is not for us to say, but what we need to keep in mind is that there is also a question of, right, security of the data, I don't know, in the country context, and you cannot start distributing the credentials to each and every one, but you need to assess carefully who are those persons that are supporting with this and could have temporary access, to the toolkit by inputting, for inputting the data or for any other reason, accessing some data that is already there and so on and so forth. So I hope I managed to respond to some extent.
Thank you very much, Mihaela, for answering the question. Melina, you can unmute yourself if you would like to add anything or if you would like to clarify anything.
No, for now, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Great. For now, everything is clear. I just wanted this year we should finalize our NIP engagement, so our NIP update process. So should we and we are already aware of this electronic part that we should also prepare. So for now, we understood that we have to prepare everything in this Word example that you already share with us, and then NFP should introduce everything online. So that's the only question that I should have from you right now. So basically, by the end of our engagement, since I'm engaged as a NIP update expert, we will not introduce those data online, but NFP will do that part. Am I right?
So thank you, Melina, for your question. So I'm not sure what are the internal arrangement in Bosnia. What I can tell for sure is that the project countries of this NIP Global project that we are running now, as per the project document, they will be requested to, once they have their offline completed format, to include it into the NIP. That is the request for the country supported by GEF, because the idea was to encourage the use of the electronic toolkit and to start populating with the data. So that is what I can tell from my end. Now, for internal arrangement of Serbia, I'm not sure how you will decide to do this. So I propose you to have a discussion with the NFP, so the National Focal Point,
Okay.
and clarify in this case who is to include the information in the.
Understand.
Because, for example, if Focal Point trusts you to do this job and Focal Point to supervise this process, that is also fine. But it's something that you need to decide internally. It's not for us to decide on it. I mean, not for us, but also for you, important is to get this database populated at some point, because otherwise it doesn't make sense, you know, if this data is not getting in there in the database for you to use it next time, right? When you do your next update, you start from there and you don't start from scratch, right? You start from the current data that you may include, and you just, let's say it may be a need to update only a few sections, not the whole NIP. So then the work will simplify. But I think the idea is to start somewhere, right? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Melina, and thank you, Michaela. And we have Mamadou from Senegal. Mamadou, do you want to step in and ask your question?
Oui. Bonjour à tout le monde. Merci beaucoup, Claudia, pour la présentation. Bon, si vous entendez du bruit, sachez que je suis dans un véhicule. Alors, j'avais une préoccupation à partager relativement à la plateforme. Parce que moi, je constate que à chaque fois, on renseigne des données sur la plateforme, mais à tout moment, je suis toujours à 0,52%. J'ai renseigné beaucoup de données, mais je suis toujours à 0,52%. Et normalement, on devait avoir peut-être ce pourcentage-là devait augmenter au fur et à mesure que vous renseignez les différents chapitres contenus dans la plateforme. Alors, ça c'est un. Maintenant, la deuxième question, c'est toujours en rapport avec ça. Parce que est-ce qu'on doit arriver à 100% pour pouvoir soumettre comment s'appelle encore, notre NIP. Pourquoi je pose cette question? Parce qu'il y a beaucoup d'informations qui ne sont pas, ou bien qui ne peuvent pas être renseignées, ou bien qui ne sont pas disponibles dans les pays. Par exemple, si vous prenez les données d'importation sur certaines substances, on sait que pour la région Afrique, beaucoup de pays n'importent pas ces substances-là de manière brute. Ça vient avec des articles, ça vient avec des produits, et il est extrêmement difficile d'avoir les quantités réelles. Par exemple, si vous prenez l'exemple de l'UV328, le Sénégal ne produit pas d'UV328, mais ça vient avec d'autres articles. Et si on nous demande les données d'importation que nous ne pouvons pas renseigner, dans la plateforme, ça peut poser des problèmes. Si on ne renseigne pas ces données-là, on ne peut pas avancer. Donc ça, c'est peut-être des préoccupations que je voulais partager et avoir votre point de vue là-dessus. Merci beaucoup.
Yes, thank you, Mamadou. Thank you for your question. And I think it's an important question. So definitely, if you are not 100%, it doesn't mean that you cannot submit your NIP. So that is not the case. I think that percentage was there just to give you a sense of, you know, to what extent you are able to gather the information and complete and include it into the NIP. It does not mean that you cannot submit your NIP. We are perfectly aware that, you know, information may not be available in certain cases or might not be relevant in certain cases. So that is fine. So I think you don't need to worry about that. You should focus on what you can get and input into the NIP. And when ready, of course, validate, endorse, and submit, right? So don't worry about that much about that percentage. Then on your question that percentage is not moving, maybe I think my colleagues in the BRS can look a bit into it. Maybe there is a glitch somewhere in the system or maybe some other IT technical IT related matter that could be sorted out. But sincerely, I will not be that worried about that percentage. So I think you focus on how much information you can collect and add to the NIP, and that's it. Don't worry about that much about the percentage.
Thank you, Michaela. So we understand that even though the percentage is not 100% complete, all the fields in the template, still countries can submit, assuming that some information in the country is not available.
Of course. So I believe yeah, I need to check technically how this reflects in that percentage. But for example, each table, as I explained, has these response options. So Mamadou, when you don't, when you are not able to gather the information, just click on information not available. So that for me, it's already reflecting a kind of checking and acknowledging the current situation type of status, right? And in my opinion, I think this percentage should be linked. If you have marked something in each and every table, that should be reflected in the percentage. It doesn't mean automatically that, because if I mark information is not available, I cannot be expected to have any numbers there, right? But it means that I have addressed that particular table or template in that particular section, and I mark my status. And I think it's already a step forward, right? Because who looks through this NIP will understand, okay, these people in Senegal, they look into this, but they were not able to gather anything this time, right? While if you read now through different NIPs, you don't really understand exactly, you know, in some NIPs, like what happened? Did they look for the information and not found it? Did they, or have they never looked into it? And, you know, what is the status? So I think it's better to correctly reflect it, even though we don't have a number, but still it shows kind of a progress. Yes, we look into it, but not able to find anything. Or we can state it's not relevant for us because we never produce this or we never use these chemicals, right? And that is already a step forward.
Thank you very much, Mihaela. And we have one more hand raised here. Okay, from our colleague on the audience, Nara. You can unmute yourself and you can speak.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes. My name Owen from Cambodia.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi,
My
Owen.
question is
Yes.
Sam. Yeah. Hi. Hello. Mahala. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes. My question the same. So Mr. Abados refer to the person of the what we have input the data into the module. Yes. And
Okay.
other question refer to I will finish a project with China. Yes, support from China that we need to submit, and what time that we can validate from BOS when I put the data to the online module.
Yeah, so I think one the next steps for you, this will be sent to UNEP to review the NIP and validate, and then you can, once validated and endorsed in the country context, you can, I mean, after all these steps are taken, then you can input final validated data into the toolkit, because I don't know, you know, sometimes from the moment you collect it until you validate and endorse it in the country context, there might be changes. So my recommendation will be to do this input into the toolkit at the end of this process, internal process, not before, because then you will work twice. So I think it's best to, you know, have your national stakeholder saying, yes, this is the final version that we agree with, and then you start adding it into the toolkit, just not to work twice.
Oh no, we can put the online.
Okay, it's up to you. It's only a recommendation from me. So you do it as you think it's best. But yeah.
Yes, now I put some data into the online, and when the BIS checks my data, my country data, that can maybe now on, or
So I
maybe,
think at this moment, nobody will check your data there. So this is what I'm saying.
Okay,
So
okay.
as per the project, you know, setup is you send your draft NIP to UNEP. UNEP is reviewing your NIP. It is sent back to you with or without comments, depending what is the case there. And then you do the national validation process and endorsement. And then you input the data into the toolkit. And basically our colleagues in BRS at this moment, they will not assess the information there. You know, so you don't need to wait for that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Juan. Thanks for your work.
Thank you, Juan. Very, very happy to see you. Okay, I think we have a few questions more, Mihaela, on the chat. So a very, very common question that we received, I guess, last session when we engaged with the countries in LAC region is about the access. So I think we have a question from Almarto from Uganda on how to get the access to the toolkit, because the access is provided only to national focal points and also to official contact points. So it is not shared with the consultants who work externally. So I think it would be probably good again to remind maybe on how to better approach this process if you need to develop a NIP as a consultant, or what would be the steps on maybe speaking to the focal point in the country first, or yeah. I'll stop here and over to you, Mihaela and Claire.
Okay, so I think I to some sort I already responded. I think someone is.
Yes, how are
I
you?
think. Hi, I'm good, and you?
Yes,
So
I work. This is Armato here in Uganda.
Okay, nice to meet
I
you.
sent email and also I've been sending chat messages. I was advised to connect with the focal point in Uganda, but we sent them email and they did not respond. So advise how we can be part of this.
Okay, so thank you, Armarto. So I think we can take this bilaterally because you have a particular situation in there, and as Anastasia mentioned in her, email exchange with you, we can. I mean, my proposal is to take this separately. I will not be able to respond now online, but for sure it will be sorted out. So then you will have a solution and a way forward.
Okay.
But we are still waiting to hear back from the focal point as well, as I understood. So
Okay.
yeah, rest assured that it will be sorted out, but it may take a while. But thanks for attending this webinar, and
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
thanks as well. Yes.
Thank you very much, Almarto. And Mihaela, a few questions as well on the chat. Is the toolkit available to anyone who wants to use it, or is it reserved for some specific countries only? So I guess probably you've mentioned something on the GEF supported countries, so maybe.
Yeah, okay. So maybe I can
draw a line.
Yes, I can clarify that. So the tool is for each and every party of the convention. What I was saying earlier is that, the countries that are are part of this project, they are requested by the project, and by being part of this project, to input already the data in the toolkit. So they have this additional request, but the toolkit is still is not mandatory, yes, by nature, because the COP, Conference of Parties of the Stockholm Convention, will need to decide on that. The latest mandate that we got from this year COP, it was this year, right? This year COP, it was to continue testing it, which we are doing, and we are having these webinars with you to support that process. So, but if you decide to use it, we really encourage you to do that. Beyond testing, this is what I mean. So using it as, a regular how should I say, data collection and tool, feel free to do it. I think that is, but so far there is no mandatory request from the COP. But if you find it that useful and you want to use it, it's open to be used, and create your NIP and use it. And then we see, I mean, you know, how this will evolve and what will be the decision at the next COP. But I think the testing and showcasing the how useful it is, it will be kind of incentive to be picked by the next conference of parties, and I mean, and for you as party to decide what you want to do next, right? If you want to have it like your normal submission process, right? And not send the PDFs as we do now, right? But send it through this toolkit. So I hope I responded to the question.
Thanks, Mihaela. Still, we have questions, and
yes, yeah.
so
Go
we
ahead. Yes.
keep addressing the questions. So what would this be done in addition to the NIP that is already submitted, or the interface or the toolkit seeks to replace the NIP template which was done previously, which was uploaded on the convention website? So now we have a lot of PDFs of the formally submitted NIPs on the Stockholm Convention website. So I think the question is more what will happen to this formats and these NIPs, and
okay. So I can try to address that. So if I'm taking the ideal situation here, I think for us, I mean, and for you as a country to be able to see the time trends and how this data evolve over time from one NIP to another, ideally will be to have all NIP versions included in the tool, right? But this is huge work, and this requires, because countries are having ownership of the data and they need to validate, for example, you know, previous submitted NIPs as PDF, so previous submitted NIPs data, and translation of that data in this format of the toolkit. So ideally will be that we have all these NIP versions in the tool and we can see data trends, right? And we can see how things evolve in in your countries over time. But let's see, I mean, we are also looking into resources to see if we can do that from our end, in the sense that try to distribute this data and then get your validation. So let's say, so then we get this database populated. But for now, I cannot confirm that because we don't have resources. But that could be an option. Or, you know, for the countries that we work under this NIP project, they can also, so besides the current NIP update version that they have and that they will add to the toolkit, they can also look in the previous version and add that information as well. So that is, but that will be limited basically only to these project countries that we are supporting now. But I think each country in the end, it's free also to add previous NIP information if they have that capacity to do so, you know. So that is also important for you to know that, I mean, nothing and anything restricts you in not doing so. Now it's a question of how much resources you and us we may have for this. That is the only limitation, let's say.
Thank you so much, Mihaela. One more question, or even two questions. We have a question from Nigeria. It seems the country is no longer appearing in the NIPS data. What can you advise? Maybe Bosun, if you could clarify a bit on this. Does it mean, Mihaela, that there was a NIP kind of a test for Nigeria on the toolkit main page and it disappeared?
This, sincerely, I don't know, because I haven't checked like how many countries sent their test test into the toolkit, but maybe here if Claire can help in the sense checking if this was ever submitted and why is not appearing there, so that I cannot tell. Bosun, but thank you for a question. We can look into it.
Yeah,
and
Bosun
see.
is online with his the
Okay.
microphone.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Mihaela. All
Yes,
I
thank you,
understand
Bosun.
is
Thank you for your
that
question.
since 2016, I'm not sure whether Nigeria has been doing any update. And checking your data, it seems as if we are not even having anything there. And probably what could have caused this, and what do you advise the country to do?
Okay, so may I ask a clarification question, Bosun? So you mean the PDF version of your NIPS that you previously submitted? So which NIP version you are talking about?
The one we submitted was as long as 2016, and I don't think this module was available that time. Since that time, I've not heard anything whether it's been done in Nigeria.
Okay, so I think we can check that with BRS colleagues and see what is the status there. And I cannot answer immediately, but we can look into it and get back to you if that works.
Okay, I'll be very glad. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Bosun. Yes, thank you for flagging this.
Thank you, Bosun. Thank you, Mihaela. One question from BCRC China. Can we clarify if the format, the download version, the MS Word format, was sent to all the focal points through the email before, or is it the focal points? Do they know about the website submission? So I guess there were a few emails sent to the focal points with the credentials. Maybe if Secretariat could clarify a bit on this, when it was sent and was it sent? Claire or Carla, if you could address this question.
Yes, yes, I confirm that the Secretariat sent credentials to, I think it was to the official contact point 2 years ago, 2023, I think. But we are planning to do another round of sending of passwords for both accounts, for the national contact points and the official contact points.
Thank you, Claire. So we can understand that there will be one more reminder to official contact points and national focal points with the credentials and maybe some additional information on the toolkit soon. So I hope that answers the question to BCRC China. Thank you very much, Claire. And thank you, Chen Yuan, for your question. Okay, we have, I guess, one last thing to address, Mihaela. When you were sharing your screen on the production part, 2.31.1, there was a question at the moment. When do you use not relevant and not applicable? There, you know, this boxes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, sure. I explained at that time. So let me try to recap what I said. So, what I explained, because I was giving the example of pesticides. So for me, when I say not relevant, it means that, for example, previously I use it in my country, but it was banned long time ago and it's not anymore relevant for me in this NIP update. So then I'm marking not relevant. Not applicable, I would use, for example, if this was not the case at all, so in my country never used this particular pesticide ever, and therefore this doesn't apply, is not applicable. So I will not respond to this because we never had these pesticides in the country, at least according to the information that the country has. So I believe that is the difference that I mentioned between the two. But if you feel unsure about, you always have that box for remarks, and you can give a bit of detail. So then if you are unsure which one should I check, you check one of it. And then you say, this was never produced there, or there is, or never used, or this we used in the past, but it's not the case anymore. So something like that. So then it's a bit clearer, like what is the context, right? So I hope it clarifies.
Thank you, Mihaela. And we've just received thanks for your clarifications from Patricia, who asked the question. So I hope that clarifies. So yeah, I guess we are now very close to the end, and we addressed most of the questions. We have a few follow-ups that we need to check with the Secretariat internally and follow up bilaterally, including to the question from Nigeria to Bassoon, and also the question from Uganda that we'll work on with our counterparts in the South Africa to support that request. And if there are any questions, colleagues, please feel free to raise your hands. Otherwise, we are ready to wrap up. And maybe if you have any questions regarding the toolkit, either to Secretariat or to Mihaela after this session, as you use the toolkit, as you experience something and you would like to clarify, please do not hesitate to contact us with your question. We will address them. During our last session with the LAC region, we already addressed a few questions online on the Green Forum. So we posted some of the answers, which my colleague Sumin shared in the chat. And if you have anything else to address for us to work on, please let us know. We will address in the second follow-up to this session. Okay, I think, yeah, my colleague Sumin put the questions on the chat, but other than that, I don't see any additional questions and I don't see the hands raised. So with that, I guess we could probably wrap up the session if there are no more questions, and if our colleagues from Secretariat or UNEP have anything to add, please feel free.
Yeah, thanks, Anastasia. Thanks for organizing the session. And I want to thank all colleagues online for, being here and being active and raising questions. I think this, for me, I see as a positive step forward, and I think slowly we are familiarizing with it. We do not feel that afraid of this tool. And I think once you start looking into it, use it, you'll understand its value and how much it can help your work in the governments or agencies, because there are many elements, as I mentioned earlier, linked to it, like understanding data needs, which data goes where, what should be my structure. I don't need to worry about all these things. And then while we advance and we start using it, we will create kind of consistency across NIPs, and easier to be look into it, understand the status in different countries for different POPs. But also it might be a good, how should I say, information source for the donors, because we all know that you, as developing countries with economy in transition, you need extra financial support. And I think providing this clear idea of what is happening in your country and what are the current remaining challenges, data needs, will help a lot. And the donors will be able to see with their own eyes, right, from this database. So I think you need to keep that in mind while using it and promoting it also in your country context as well. So I will stop here. Thank you so much, and to the colleagues in the BRS Secretariat for being here.
And maybe Clara, if you would have any closing remarks or anything to add.
Yeah, I wanted to add a technical details, because reading all the comments, I see that a lot of people are working on the NIPs and circulating the NIPs inside the government or colleagues. And I want to remind that you can start filling the NIP on the toolkit and then you can download, export in PDF or in Word. So you can start working in the NIP on the toolkit and then download and extract in Word and PDF and circulate this internally. And then go back to the NIP to enter whatever change that the colleagues made on the export. So this can be also a way to not filling it in Word and then copy paste everything in the toolkit afterwards. So this can be an option as well. So yeah, that was my very technical add to this workshop. But I'm very glad to see all these questions and all this interest from the country. We stay available for any technical question you may have on this toolkit. And thank you also, Tyler, for the very detailed presentation. It was very useful.
Thank you very much, Claire, and thank you for all your technical support on the toolkit. And many thanks to Mihaela for a great live demonstration. It's my second time watching it. I keep learning. Thank you to all the countries who participated, actively asked questions on the toolkit. Thank you for trying and testing it, and we hope you keep challenging yourself and keep trying and making the best of this toolkit for your NIP. And yeah, we look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow and another session on Article 15, where we will explore a bit on the ERS and how to submit the national reports under the Stockholm Convention. Thank you very much and have a nice day and afternoon and evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.